Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Today our movie in the middle is Amelie. Amelie is the critically acclaimed French film about a curious young woman who matchmakes and influences the people around her, although she lacks the confidence for herself. It stars Audrey, Tautou, Matheiu, Kassovitz, and Serge Merlin. Wait a minute. This isn't for a movie that came out in 2024. Yeah, I haven't done a movie review for something that hasn't been a 2024 movie or related to a 2024 movie in a really long time. I'm actually not quite sure I've done any this year that were just random, and I'm trying to do that more, and now that I actually have discovered the power of YouTube Shorts, and I can do movie reviews a lot quicker and just give you my thoughts on other ones that have come out this year a lot quicker, I can actually focus on other movies that I've wanted to do for a while as well, because there are a ton of those. So why Amelie? Well, the Olympics were in France this year, so I had a very French vibe, and then I watched it, so that's basically it. Starting off with the highs, this movie is way quirkier than I expected it to be, and I really loved that. It's basically a rom-com, but better than the ones that we usually get here. And a lot of that, most of that, has to do with Amelie herself. She is so quirky, she's adorable, she loves changing the world around her, she's curious, and I love seeing how she's able to trick people and influence and manipulate people. You can tell that she gets, like, this enjoyment out of doing it and seeing how easily that she can do it. She's kind of verging on, like, the chaotic good in the alignment chart, because she, like, you know, she doesn't do anything crazy, but she really does get people to do the things that she wants to see them do. It's not even, like, for her own amusement. It's literally just to better the lives of other people. But she does it in such a mischievous way. It's really entertaining. Also, the cinematography, specifically the color. This movie is used so often in film classes as a big example, specifically for color theory, because it's got the whole tint of yellow, green, and red, not only just in the color grading, but in the production design, the costume design itself. And it is an example that's used a lot because, you know, not only is it just a color combination that isn't used a ton in movies, up until at least maybe more recently with red, yellow, and green, but it is a triad, which is also not used a lot. Usually you see them in pairs, most notably orange and blue, but we get others as well. Red and green go together a lot as well, but you normally don't get three of them like that all at once. And it works really, really well. This movie is just beautiful looking. Funny enough, it's a little bit rougher looking. It's not like super smooth all the time like a lot of movies are nowadays. And I think that comes from the fact that it was made in the early 2000s, which I'm going to touch on more in just a second. But it really is just a beautiful looking movie, and it really draws you into this different, you know, unique style. The other technical elements of the movie are just as good. The music, I mean, literally for me, if you put French music in anything, I'm going to listen to it and add it to my playlist. It's very chaotic at times, it's very fun, but it's also very, obviously, romantic at times. It's such a good soundtrack. The camera work and editing are very interesting. They are very early 2000s in some spots, and they actually reminded me a lot of Edgar Wright in terms of specifically the editing, and more often Wes Anderson for both the camera work and the editing. Edgar Wright, I know, started a little bit after this, so he might have been influenced by this, but Wes Anderson started before, so I don't know if this movie was influenced by him, if he was influenced by this movie, because I haven't seen any of his earlier stuff, or if they were just both influenced by somebody else. But not only just like the editing and just the pacing of the movie in certain shots, but even just how they introduce characters. They were very closely related to each other. And the editing, not only is it very quick and funny in a lot of spots, you know, for like comedic effect, but a lot of times it has, what I did not expect was this, you know, that kind of early 2000s, late 90s thing where they would speed up shots, like it looks very sped up, as if you just hit fast forward, and it makes it very jittery and chaotic. And a lot of times, you know, in the movie, it is for a very specific purpose, but it's funny because it's almost like that sort of look that you would get from Saw, weirdly enough. And I know that's a really weird comparison to make, but as weird as it sounds, this movie, funny enough, could almost pass as a horror from the trailer. I did this project in college where basically it was called a trailer genre switch, where you made a trailer out of a movie and made it look like it was a different genre. The easiest type that there usually is to do, which every single one of us in our class did, was take a movie and make it into a horror. I did, I think it was Caddyshack, and made that into a horror somehow. It actually worked out really, really well. But this movie could so easily look like a horror just from, like, how it's laid out, what the story's like, specifically some of the shots. I mean, even this poster. Why did they make the poster look so unbelievably creepy? She looks like she's trying to kill you. And I just think that's really funny, because then you watch the movie and you're like, oh. So I don't really have a lot of lows with this movie. Really, it's just kind of one big nitpick. Small nitpick? Can you have a big nitpick? Wait, should a nitpick trip? Let's do it. Really, my only nitpick is that at the end, it feels like the story goes back and forth just a little bit, like one too many times. Like there's sort of like, you know, it's progressing the plot. And in the moment, I do understand why it needed to do what it does. Kind of just how the plot unfolds. It needs to sort of, you know, go back and forth a couple times. But it feels just like a little repetitive, specifically just that Amelie tries to do something and then she shies away, and then she tries to do something again and then she shies away. And it kind of does that a couple times until it gets to the end. But again, this is like a very small thing. It's not even that big of a deal. It's just if I'm really looking for something. So overall, I really loved this movie. It was one that was on my list for a long time, and I'm glad I finally got to watch it. When I was doing screenwriting in college, one of my professors, in terms of giving me notes on how to approach something in the script, told me this quote from MASH that was, I think it was something to the effect of, what are you going to do, change the world? And he says, no, I'm just going to change our little corner of it. And I think that perfectly encapsulates this movie, because she just changes her immediate world, all the people around her. And it was a really lovely movie. I'm going to give Amelie a 3.5 out of 4. Well, guys, let me know what you thought of Amelie in the comments below, and let's talk about the Olympics and everything that went on there. Well, maybe not everything. Let's talk about the memes. There's a lot of memes and a lot of Snoop Dogg. This was a pretty sick Olympics, I'm not gonna lie. If you guys want me to review other French or French-related movies in the future, Midnight in Paris specifically, I'm definitely gonna review that one at some point, because I had some really interesting thoughts on that one. Or, you know, Ratatouille. I guess that counts. Just not French New Wave. I hate French New Wave. I'm sorry, Criterion, but it's true. And as always, keep your hopes high, your stress low, and movies right in the middle. I'll see you guys later.